This is Jack Devine. Welcome back to another episode of some Office Hours here. Today I wanted to talk to you about the blues turnaround that is at the core of so much of music within the Grateful Dead's music. And if we take a little look at a case in point would be Music Never Stopped. Music Never Stopped utilizes so many musical devices that it's maddening, actually. So we have some harmonized blues turnarounds. We have some chromatic blues turnarounds. We have some ascending moves. We have basically a full, what is it? Eight note line cliche that descends. We've got a ton of great harmonic devices on display. Let's take a look at the bulk of the tune is over top of this. Right, we've got this E, A, C. That's an A chord with its third in the bass, and then a C. So basically what we're hearing is, so we have these three chromatic notes right here. And if we think about it this way, if we backdoor our way out of the E chord, we're hearing a B. So that's E, E7, A, and then C, which is basically another way of spelling out A minor. So we've got this really kind of nice little baked in. And it's not that dissimilar to the Beatles' Dear Prudence. Okay, you get that. We've got that in the key of E. Okay, that's your opening riff and your first verse largely. So we've got... kind of combining both of the parts there. Bob's got a really interesting little thing, and then this kind of thing with it. But I'm more focused on the Jerry stuff, and what I'm hearing him do is this. E, A, and then over top of the C, he goes. Sorry. That's our very first verse, right? Then there's the second half. And there's this little bit of punctuation between the two chunks, right? We've got that. 3, 4. Look at that. That's kind of interesting too. Okay, over top of that static E chord that connects the first half of the verse with the second half, we have this, again, it's the blues turnaround harmonized. track that fifth. All right, so we're targeting this fifth, the flat fifth, the fourth, and the third, all over this E chord. And what we're going to do is we're going to approach each of those notes from a whole step below up chromatically. Very cool. Right, that's the second half, as opposed to the. All right, I'm using my middle finger a little bit to pluck up. But you could do it with the pick. I just kind of leave it up. That's kind of just like a riff where we're finessing that little section. Really fun. All right, back half after this. So you can do that. All right, there's our A chord with the third in its bass. And then. Okay, and then I think there's sometimes he does like. And then. I'm not sure he's doing that, but the band is implying that pulse, okay? And what are we doing? Again, rather than going down the blues turnaround, we're going to come up it into our A chord. So over the E chord. Totally fucking awesome. Okay, but if you want to be clever and kind of grab two ideas, right? We have one that's ascending chromatically into the third of the A chord over the E. Hey, you. Oh yeah. You're saying the descending blues turnaround concepts. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, the Parker enclosure blues turnarounds, both ascending and descending, they're just massive parts of the sound that this band is often conjuring. They use it in Tennessee Jed, right? They've got the. Right? They use it there. They use it in Black Peter. It's on full display in lots of places. That they use it as a nice device in pop songs, or songs that aren't just purely blues. Like, sure, we're going to hear blues turnarounds in actual blues numbers, but what we want to see is that they're actually incorporating the ideas and elongating the form. And when we get to this next section here, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, the song is about to modulate from the key of E up to A. Now watch this. We're going to climb chromatically on this G string off of the E's third, and then come from its fifth into the third of our A chord. Now, the low end is going to go differently. We're not going to go chromatically here. We're going to skip up to this F sharp in the low E and harmonize these two things. We're going to get like a little bass line that's harmonized in tenths. That means there's 10 intervals between this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? So 10. Basically a very familiar sound, I think, from that. Right? Those are all tenths as well. Okay, so we've got that same sound. I think there's like an old Mingus tune that's like. That kind of thing, right? So, you know, these little cliche moves, like that word cliche shouldn't ring the negative, like pejorative bell. It should be like, oh, this is a standardized structure that we've already accepted as something that's powerful and meaningful and helpful from the songwriting perspective, okay? So if we look at what we're doing, we're about to come from E up to the A chord. There's a band out on the... And here we are, we're taking our... There's a band out on the highway. They're high stepping into town. There's a rainbow full of down. It's calliope and clouds. Okay. By and large, that's what's happening. We've got this A7 sound, then a diminished, kind of like the way you'd hear that at the beginning of a blues tune. Okay, very, very traditional sound. So all we're doing is coming down with the... What's that? Again, there's our Parker enclosure, but harmonized to form a... Okay, so we did it coming up, and then down. Right now, the clever thing that Bob does is rather than give it all the same static bass tone, he goes... Sometimes you'll hear some... Right? I think on the second time around, sometimes you'll hear somebody hit that, kind of frame it as a D minor chord, which is pretty clever, okay? Because we can play that A beneath the D and still hear. So we can still get our descending sound, which is pretty clever. Here's A and D at the same time. That's the little building part that happens there. There's a band out on the highway part. Then all hell breaks loose with that amazing section where you get Garcia doing the... that business, right? Over top of the... Then it's... Look at all these cliches, all this descending line stuff, right? Watch this. Fucking brilliant songwriting on behalf of Bob Weir here. So let's say we've begun coming down. This is our last time through this. We're here on this A chord, 2, 3. Everybody's dancing, right? So we're going to have an A6 chord. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to descend off of this F sharp note. We're going to keep the A triad the same. So we walk from F sharp to F to E to D sharp, D, A, D, C, and B. Okay, and that's what's happening there. That's probably the longest line cliche I've seen harmonized. Okay, so we've got everybody's. There's that. That's our A. What is that? Augmented fifth. A augmented chord. Back to A nat, like normal A, right? Just A major. And then this chord right here. You can see we've still got the A triad being voiced here. But if I'm not mistaken, the bass note changes at this moment. We've heard an A, again an A, another A, and then over top of this chord, we're going to hear this B sound. Okay, and that's basically, that's a minor 7 flat 5 right there. So if we look at these, that's B minor 7 flat, sorry, it's E flat minor 7 flat 5 with the B in the bass. So we could look at it more like a B7 add 9 chord. That is a lot of mumbo jumbo, okay, for basically just bringing this note down. Okay. So again, chromatically down from one to end. Right? Quite elaborate. No. All right, now how does the D get worked in there? We've already come this far. Next note down in our sequence is the D. We're going to make that the root of a D minor chord. And then to an A. Right? Then a D7. And then the G. So all in, we've got... Wow. That's quite a lot. Okay. Now we're on that G chord. And now we're going to go F sharp minor. Okay, that's F sharp descending. Again, chromatically, 4 notes just like that, okay? We're going to hear that over and over and over again, right? That's, Stairway to Heaven. It's also the Turnaround and Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Okay, very, very popular turnaround. We hear it in the beginning of Mississippi Half Step. It's all over this music, all right? So check out that descending cliche again from A6 to the augmented, A major. So that's going to be like a B9 chord. Then D minor, A. Now we've got this little number. Basically, I see Bob play this chord. So that's a D7 chord with no D in it. Actually, with no third in it, rather, right? Yeah, so that's flat 7, root, and 5th. Okay, but you could have played it here. Right, so you could do this. There's your D7 to a G chord. All right, so watch. That's what's happening in there. It took me years to figure this shit out, to be perfectly honest. I used to think it was all from F sharp minor. I had some weird chords in there. I think I transcribed it wrong like 3 years ago. More like a Dead and Company version rather than the version I like from the mid-70s. But I'm not terribly fond of that harmonic choice, to be perfectly frank. But that is what he's doing. So okay, now we're on our F sharp minor chord. We're going to lower its root, a little E shape, and then this little joint. All right, and then finally we've got this kind of turnaround chord that he likes to use, which is this. And then finally, okay, now this A suspended with the 6th above it, to me is a largely academic choice. I think the voicing, I won't be playing the A when I play it live. I'll play this, and then, or probably more inclined to do a more like this. Kind of thing. Okay, so we're going to be looking for those chromatic runs at the end of that. So, but if you want to know what I'm being told and taught by this chord right here with an A in its bass, but what it's doing is functioning as the 4 chord going up to E. But we're kind of obscuring its root, okay, and creating more of that like gospel 4/5 sound. So you see that as like an E with a D triad above it, like that, or an E with a D triad. That's an old gospel trick. Wonderful sound, right? We're putting the 4 and the 5. 5's bass tone with the 4's upper extensions, which gives it a flat 7 with a 9 and a sus4. Very suspended open gospel sound. And then up to E major, right? And then resolving back to A. Okay, so the song started out in E. Up in A, descending. Two, three, descend again. Garcia kind of doing that kind of thing where you're hearing the A to like an A7 sound to D to F G. All right, then we get that quick little turnaround, and then right back to E. Section that Garcia does, right? That little part is just beautiful. I think that's a lift from Pembroke Pines, if I'm not mistaken. It's one of my favorite little bits of his. Let's see if we got any questions here. There's a lot. This is a very dense song. I could understand people needing to go back and watch this again. Let's see what we've got here. Get this down a little bit. So we got Blink. If anybody's asking anything here. You channel. So do I have anything cooking? Here we are. Oh, there's some people watching. Hi. Yep, good morning. I spent hours. Oh, okay, I see who this is. How's it going, Hawaii man? Finally caught a live one. Hey, Wayner, nice to meet you, sir. So here we are descending, okay, again for this last time. So over A major, we're going. Then over the A6. Well. Okay, so that's gonna be. All right, now we've got a D minor. Into A, right? D7 to G, right? Something like that, right? So. Then down our little triads. Then here. All right. So here comes the hardest part, is the last 3 minutes of the song is an all-out jam orgy. Okay, we're gonna be going from 2 different time signatures as well. So Bob, pretty smart move. He creates this spacey built-in B7 chord like that's in 3, 4, 6, 8. And we'll see how we get to that in a second, okay? So we've come down our last F sharp minor. Come on, children, come on, clap your hands. Up to E, back to A. See how we're coming down again? We're basically doing the. It's all little substitutions for this descending, like. Sometimes we're seeing that as being from the 5th going down into the major 3rd of a chord. Sometimes we're seeing it from the flat 7 going down to the 5th. There's a lot of chromaticism in the Grateful Dead's music. And while I feel that Garcia, compositionally speaking, was slightly more elegant and refined and a little bit more natural, there's no disputing that Bob Weir's intellectual approach is very much on display here. This is almost more of an academic pursuit, if you ask me. It's so long that is outrageous. Right, and then our D minor, A7, and then another one. Right, so we're doing this to all the way back to A. Right, D, chomp, 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 the stars kept up so busy, so busy. The music never stopped. Right, so that's D, E, A, and now we modulate again. E, F sharp, B, into that spacey 3 section, okay? So that's a heavy little bit of modulation there. That music never stopped. Okay, so that's gonna be, we're gonna go 4, 5, 1, and then what does he do? He says, oh, well, I wanna go into the B chord, so I'm gonna go 4, 5, 1 into the new key of B7, which is gonna function as the 5, which is gonna take us back to our outro jam that. Where we're gonna have all those. All the jamming shit that happens at the end of the song, right? With the right, crazy tremolo picking on the. I mean, I largely ignore the recorded version and paid more attention to Pembroke Pines. I think of that as being For me, that's my definitive version of the tune. All right. So if we're looking at that little outro section where we go D, E, A, 2, 2, 3, 4, E, F sharp, B. All right, and we're going to end up with a nice spacey kind of sound. We're going to end up with if we look at this, let's do a looper here over top of this. This is a great sound to experiment with. Okay, so it's going to be B mixolydian, the 5 of where we're heading. Okay, so it's going to be. So now we've got, this kind of. Basically, you could build that for quite a while, all right? And then we're going to come into our outro jam, which is, that's kind of the payoff for the whole tune. There's been so much intellectual songcraft, right? The outro section of the tune is pretty fun. We've just got that E, A, C, D. All right, so what are we going to do over something like that? Well, there's a couple of overarching approaches that we can examine. All right, let's make sure I'm not stepping on anybody's lesson here. I think I have 12 o'clock here. No, I'm free till 1. So if this runs late, not a big deal. So let's look at this. We've got this E chord, E7, A, and instead of just going, you're going to hear the motion come from the C to D up from time to time at the ending. But let's just look at what we would do if we were taking that kind of at a moderate tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to be up against several different approaches. We can play over top of it, more of a minor pentatonic kind of. Can be very fulfilling, okay, and you'll definitely be hearing quite a lot of that. All right, that kind of just playing over top of it, like. That kind of stuff, I think everybody's got like a bag of licks of things that they feel comfortable with. There's a couple of little moves that Jerry does like to do though. And he'll follow that line of the E coming down to the D to the C sharp to the C to the B. outlining those chords. E7, A, so that's C, D, E, right? Very, very good exercise for you guys as players. So that's playing into the A chord. Then you can change your mind around and stay, rather than thinking about A, right? Instead of shifting to C, you can shift to A minor, all right? A minor sounds great over C. They're the same chord. They're the same scale tones, okay? At least in this instance, okay? So if you wanted to, you could be thinking E, A minor, and then back to E. Because while you're playing A minor over the D chord, you're largely going to be outlining a D sound. Okay? So that's kind of the sneaky stuff that you can do, is you can sit there and kind of think about it like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's get out of there. So that's root, flat 5, 4, 3. It's kind of a rotational move with this hand. Okay, we've got a lot of room for these kinds of moves. Take that 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you can find your way up and down that ladder. Okay, pardon the imbalance there. If we're coming here, E, E7, up 2 frets forms an A. Then we just put down our index finger, and we get the top 2 notes of our C triad. And we can come here, and that's C, D, E, E7. One goes up, one goes down, we get an A. And then back to here. Sorry. This is another little bit of geometry that you'll see on the guitar. E, E7, A7, up 2 frets, up another minor third, C. So you could hear that 1, 2, 3, 4. Mandolin tremolo stuff is a very, very gratifying sound for a peak. But boy, oh boy, if you start too early, then you have to sustain it for a while if you want the song to be good and long. So my suggestions for that is save it till the very end. If you can, I'd recommend getting off the brighter sound and maybe get to something that's a little bit, for lack of a better word, smeary, a little less crisp. This can be very difficult to sustain. If we come up to the neck pickup, a little less abrasive on the ear. Okay, so we've got our E, E7, A, C, D. Quite an epic jam on the outro. You'd be foolish if you weren't ever going something like that, where you're playing through those chord changes. 3, 4. Basically you want to play over the changes and then back into them, okay? So when you're doing those, right? Right? You want to keep doing that kind of thing where you're going in and out, okay? That's the deal, all right? You can also set up these little riffs that are pretty fun to do over top, where you get these. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are some of the more advanced ideas that I would put forward, other than just wailing in E minor pentatonic blues, which you can definitely do. If you've got licks, bust them out. But just don't neglect that third of the A chord when it changes. Very powerful and difficult to sustain that much energy for a very long time. Let's see what we got. See if anybody's decided to sound off. It's a bit of a heavy subject, if I'm not mistaken. Anybody watching? 16 people are watching. That's interesting. All right, so look, that's a very dense little bit of music to understand. If anybody has any questions, speak now or forever hold your peace. Happy to share or enlighten as best I can. I don't know everything, but I do think I understand what's going on now in this song. It took me a long while. To be honest, I never really was that big a fan of this song growing up. I grew up listening, because I was so young when I got into the band, I ended up listening to and formulating my tastes based on the songs more than the performances. And I think that this is a good example of the original idea of Music Never Stopped, with the saxophone and the kind of cluttered arrangement on the Blues for Allah record. It just never really spoke to me. Also, it has Donna wailing over top of it. And to me, as a child, when I was, what would I have been, 10 or 11, I wasn't really feeling this song. And so it took me a while to kind of realize how awesome it is, because I think we develop our tastes a little maybe prematurely as children, and it's hard to sometimes, I have friends that are like, I didn't like fish as a child, therefore I can't eat fish as an adult. Like, oh my goodness, you're missing out on the tastiest food out there. So whether or not it's vegetables or whatever like that, or great songs by Bob Weir in my case, all right, we sometimes make these immature, premature song choices about what we like and what we don't. So it took me a little while to get to the bottom of it. And let's be honest, it's not exactly like the Grateful Dead spoon feeds every choice to you. They'll often take the, in particular, Phil is good at this. He likes to, sorry, my mouse is about to die. He'll take the bass tone and subvert, what the conventional choice would be. All right, so especially during that little section where we got that, I have no idea I can't make out what Phil is up to. It's not like he's playing something very basic and easy to hear. It's kind of bopping all over the place, and for lack of a better word, the song just kind of always eluded me until I started working with a band that wasn't run by myself. Over the summer, I worked with a group whose central figure is a guy named Charlie, and he likes the Bob Weir songs. He plays and sings primarily Bob Weir tunes, or at least has a huge backlog and knowledge of those songs. And so when I sat in with that band a couple of times over the summer, I think it was like 7 or 8 dates, I had to kind of bend towards their tendencies. And my groups that I tend to play with, they tend to favor Garcia tunes. But because he's the main guy in the band, there's a lot of Bob stuff. So this was one of those tunes that I thought, all right, we're going to have to play this. Turns out I never did with them. But I started getting into it, and I started realizing, man, that opening jam, So if you guys want to hear how to do that, I think there's somebody's probably cracked this nut already. But so we're kind of coming up into the third of this E chord. So we're basically just attacking the E blues scale. I'm putting that middle third in the middle of it to give it that brighter sound, right? So like even in tunes like that seem like they're just straight ahead blues like this, or maybe even, right, you're going to hear a lot of that major third over top of a lot of Garcia's lines. Like he frets it. He doesn't just bend it. He doesn't just go. He'll actually. Right, so you gotta. Major third, but in a bluesy context. Like that, okay? So that's one of the key sounds there. Okay, so, love this song. I do too now. In particular, I just love that big. That's a hit. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, 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 bam, boom. It's like there's a very strange, odd bounce to it. Okay, so let's think about other ideas that we could be looking at. Okay, E blues. And then we might as well just take it up into the A chord. A. Lots of chord tones, okay? All right. Okay, that kind of thing. Now, I'm not suggesting you use all that, right? But use the template of the song as an opportunity to learn how to do this, right? Most of the time, Garcia is just going for the throat there at the end. Just all right. Other tricks aside from going to the neck, pick up for the. You can, if you're getting stuck in the strings when you're trying to do those tremolo picks, those. My suggestion is that you either lighten up on, like if you pull back on the pick and loosen up so that the pick can bend a little bit within the safety of this cradle that we're creating here. Don't pinch hard when you do the hard fasting. Loosen up a little bit so that the pick can flex. Or the other thing you can do is lean the, let's imagine these are the strings. You can lean the pick like a paintbrush. I keep this around for cleaning off under the pickups and stuff like that. But if we take a look at this mouse pad, and let's imagine these are the strings, and this is the pick, we would want to paint this wall like that, coming up and down like a paintbrush. We wouldn't go up like this. We wouldn't go like that. It would, it's going to make a crappy finish on the wall. Similarly, we want to brush down and angle the pick down when we're doing those fast strums. All right, last but not least, the other parameter that we need to keep in check, once again, imagine these are the strings and this is our pick. We don't want to be stuck super deep inside here, okay? We want to be out here in just the tip, of the pick, right? We want to brush gently and fluidly, just kind of flicking it a little bit. Okay? All right? If you find that you go too deep, do what most people do. Come over here and utilize the wood of the fingerboard as a depth, like a backstop almost, right? Right, we can really, right? You can't go too deep in there because the tip of the pick is hitting the wood. All right? It's not necessarily about being pretty or accurate. No, it's supposed to be kind of frenetic on purpose, right? We're supposed to be peaking and like it's supposed to be an eruption of energy, not a controlled delivery. I mean, if there are people that can do this beautifully, like Stevie Ray Vaughan had a very good loose hand, and you hear on tunes like I think it's Dirty Pool. He has, all right. And Eddie Van Halen had that equally impressive tremolo picking skill that he would do for the section interruption with that business. Very, very loose and fluid and steady. If you can get that, okay, great. I tend to find that it's very difficult to get it to happen over top of 4 or 5 strings at a time. And if you're using a pick like that, you may also find that coming to the what they call the shoulder of the pick, the rounder part, that's when you look at mandolin players, which this is a mandolin sound, that's what most mandolin players' picks look like. They're just kind of a rounded nub, all right? And that enables them to kind of just come. Lack some definition, as opposed to. All right, and even more so if we get into the middle pickup. All right, be careful. That's going to be a bit of a burner on your forearm. My suggestion is that you set up a click track and go right? So then try shifting your chord shape. Pretty, all right? But the truth is everybody else is going fucking ape shit while you're doing that, so presumably it's gonna work out for you. All right, what do we got here? Love this song. It grooves real good and gives me the stank face, especially when they come back to the main. You mean, Scott, you mean the part after the where they come back in after the dreamy section? Very, very captivating moment. If you can get the crowd lost in that section, it's in 3, right, or it's in 6, right? So it's a triple. If you can get people lost in that 3 section so that they're twirling, and you end up with that kind of nice, that that kind of was it that? Right, that's just so pretty when you're getting those kind of. I mean, I have the Kemper all set up for all that stuff. Don't get me started. Love that stuff. All right. So anybody got? Oh yeah. So yeah. Hell yes with the drums. It's 2. It's rocking. I agree. So Scott, you and I are on the same page, right? It's one of those moments where you really do have the option of taking the crowd very high. If you are able to do it, you can rock the house pretty good with this tune. So definitely happy to do this. 10 a.m. Pacific. Sorry, this is a student reaching out to me. Okay, good. So super happy to share what I know about it. I would never say that I'm like the be all end all like chapter and verse on this tune. There are people who've probably taken much deeper dives onto Music Never Stopped than I have. But the general prevailing wisdom of how music is organized seems to be employed here in the conception of these ascending lines. That business. No, sorry. Yeah, very, very dense, okay? A6, augmented, A, B7 add 9, D minor, A, and then D7, G7, or G, right? Yeah, I think G natural sounds, G with, not G natural, but G, no 7, just. And then F sharp minor, minor major, okay, A, and then that's a B, basically, and then we do, I think they did an A chord over that, and then maybe E, and then back up to A. All right, let's take a look at some of the ideas for what to play over that if you're the Jerry guy. All right, I did a lesson on this and it's incorrect. I am a big enough man to realize that the chords that I outlined in my original lesson, which was egotistically titled "That Part You've Been Playing Wrong," was being played wrong by me too. All right, it was pretty good. There were some good sections in it, and from what I had thought were the chords, what I thought I was hearing, right, which it turns out my research was incomplete. I looked at some Dead and Company footage, and that led me down one thing, and I looked at some other footage, and I made a couple of ideas, and I stand corrected. All right, if we look at those, let's look at those changes here. I'll set up a loop, and we'll see if I can render it nicely. Yeah, let's do that down a little bit. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Shit, that's wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. If you've ever tuned into one of these lessons, you've heard me talk about it, and I'll talk about it again. When you make loops, okay, don't be afraid to make them less than at tempo. You don't need to make everything at the actual tempo you're going to ultimately be performing at. But what you do need to do is make sure that your loop has a break in it and then a count off at the end. Okay, so this should be, it's okay, I didn't do a great job, but we're doing A6, augmented, normal, D minor, A, descending from F sharp down to E, to E flat, 4, 5, A, and then a count in, 2, 3, 4. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of ideas. One, I have a couple of these things, right? So if we go, what are we doing? We're following this down. So this is an important shape for you guys to get a hold of. All right, we're on the C sharp note with our ring finger at the, what was that, 14th, 16th fret. You can hear that augmented chord. It's an A arpeggio with all the E's turned into F's. Okay, so we're gonna go reach up and grab that F with our pinky. Right, that kind of sound. So let's see if I can start to show off a little bit over that. 1, 2, 3. Sounds like In the Kitchen, kind of, by Humphreys McGee. Well, Corbin, I'm not trying to... No, this is not a Warren Eric Clapton strat. This is just a standard US reissue from 1986. I just have played it to death. Okay, so if we have this, that's pretty much right? Okay, that's what we're trying to hear. 1, 2, 3, 4. The hard part I did fine, but the F sharp, the descending, I didn't do so great. Something like that. Spending the time like that over and over and over again until you craft a line that you can pull off reliably. Let's be honest. Nobody here, okay, is Jerry Garcia. Jerry Garcia didn't have to work to sound like Jerry Garcia. He was Jerry Garcia, so it's much easier for him to just do what he does, and people loved it. He didn't have to figure out what to do. He did what he did. He was really, really talented guy. I think he would have been a success at whatever he cared about. Okay, but he happened to be. We're lucky that he happened to care about music. So let's take a look at what I'm doing to kind of emulate that. Okay, A major. Then over top of the augmented chord, I'm doing the most academic, basic thing. Right? That's just literally coming. Sounds like I'm about to go into a dream sequence in a bad 80s sitcom. Hit 3, 4. Now I've got an A, normal A. That's da ba da ba da ba da ba da. That's the note I'm clocking, and then da 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 da. So. So that's the D. If I want to, I can get that C in there, and then the B, okay? So if I'm smart, I can figure out a way to do that. 3, 4. Again. Okay, so then you can't have only one version of this thing, although frankly for years I played the wrong thing, thinking I was a genius, but I was not. I didn't understand what was going on with these last two chords. Sorry. Okay, so let's think about this. If we go the Pembroke Pines thing. So that's off the root. Okay, over top of our A chord. Then over the A6 sound. Sorry, this augmented sound. Then. Okay, very pretty sound. 3, 4. Okay, so that little figure, that motif, that takes care of a lot of the stress. That knowing that little thing, whew. Then we have a D minor chord into the third of our A chord. Then we have a D into a G. Okay, let's see if we can make something like that. Might take me a couple times. So here's that. You have to work on it. Here we go. And see if I can get it. I keep freezing up on that D minor chord. worried about trying to play the actual song so much as play with the template and the format and use it as an obstacle course to test myself as a player, okay? But that little line that I stole, it's just too fucking sweet not to steal. Like, mine. Well, it's not mine, it's his. But it's so good that, you know, by doing that work and snagging something that's from what I think of as like a definitive version of this tune, I feel like I'm being a responsible steward for this music. I feel like by playing something that is a direct quote from one of the more recognizable and storied representations of this song, okay, that I'm doing a service to the community that likes this music, right? And they want to come. If I go and see a Grateful Dead band play, and they don't sound at all like the Grateful Dead, but they play Grateful Dead songs, that can be amusing, all right? J-Rad's a good example. They don't really pay too much allegiance to, yeah, those were the horn pickups, and those were horn pickup lines. Yeah, well, they had that saxophone blowing over top of those sections in the recorded version of Blues for Allah, and I don't recall them ever having a saxophone player play live with them, but perhaps there was. I wouldn't say never with them, but I tend to think that that wasn't such a great choice, and that maybe Garcia wasn't quite up to the task when they had the thing, and he just like let it go and let somebody else take it. There's some pretty advanced changes to try to grapple with in there, and he may have just been in no shape to deal with that, or maybe he was and he just wanted to share, you know, puff puff pass, being arch hippies and all. So let's take a look at what I'm doing there. All right, A, F sharp. Okay, so that's out of the A6 chord. So we have ba da da, blah da da da, la da da da. Then what's the la da 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 da? Sorry, la da da da. That's a la da da da. Yeah, that's over top of that chord. That's really great ear training from him. And to do that live, and I've never heard him do it before or since. Then we have a D minor chord to deal with. Into an A chord. That's going to be the third of that. So this is the D. So that's a chromatic move. Into the third of our A. And then we can come down one fret like that, or we can go see if we can get that. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Try both. Hey. Yeah, wipe out. 3, 4. I don't know what happened. Crazy ass workout, okay? Really, really meaningful to put yourself through these paces. I'll spend all night working up variations of that. Once I get one or two options that I understand and can kind of feel the arc of, it's time to make copies of it. It's time to figure out how to blur the lines between one and the other. That was rad. Some guy. I agree that the idea that Garcia has going on is really magical. That moment, it's like one of those moments where you're like, oh, now I get why I care about this, right? Like that is really I don't know how he heard that. And then into the then, I'm sorry. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be. I just love how different the middle part sounds from the main groove. They weave into each other so well. Yeah, you mean this part? Everybody is dancing. That business. Yeah, it is an interesting dichotomy between the bluesy swagger of one, that kind of funky thing going on, and then that weird. Not a lot of. There's none of that on the recording, but those are very cool, and I think they harmonized that too. Some places, like you hear, like I don't know what the interval is, but I sometimes hear Keith play something a little different. Okay, so look, very impressive song, very very thick, dense bit of work by them, and all basically wrapped up in what at first blush seems like it's just going to be like a romp in E blues, kind of like the Grateful Dead's version of Hey Joe, but it isn't. It's that outro section is fucking peaking pretty hard. Some mania. If anybody hasn't checked out the Pembroke Pines show from '77, there's some really, really excellent guitar playing on that version of the tune. All right, so I'm here to cop to being the snarky little bitch and framing that educational video I did a couple of years ago about this tune, and in particular the section that I find so vexing at the moment. It was well played. It just I was playing a diminished chord in one of the spots instead of the I was playing this instead of the D7 chord. I was playing a diminished chord, and instead of playing the G, I think I went and then. And I thought those moves were actually what I was hearing, but I was incorrect. So, pardon me for besmirching the average bear who probably mishears that section. It is difficult to know what to do in there. Okay, so I feel no shame in the game of coming up with these two little lines. Sorry. That all seems quite nice because I don't have to sing that. I don't have to sing come on children," and there I get to play that stuff. So super happy to hear that, and then grab the. Okay, so I guess I could do that in other ways too, maybe tomorrow, because I was working on this over the weekend, and I have some rehearsals coming up soon. We're going to be playing this song with our new rhythm guitar player, Lawrence, and chromaticisms and arpeggios. Quite a few, yes. It's pretty dense stuff, but once you get your arms around it, it's actually super memorable. So you once you know what you have to outline, you know when you make it or you don't, right? Especially that second chord change. That is, I really do appreciate that. Okay. Okay. That's nice. I like that. And then obviously the something like that. So if you don't know how to do this with lines, basically what you need to do is see the whole neck and figure out what you can play rhythmically in a way that is dependable. That's what I did. So I looked at it and went one da 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 ba 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 da. All right, that's the lyric. Okay, that's what that is. Okay, whew, it's something else. So I'm gonna have to probably burn that and maybe 2 or 3 others deep into the old lizard brain here, so that when I'm maybe a little buzzed or on stage or excited or something like that, I don't choke up right there, because that's a fucking train wreck waiting to happen. I can already see that's gonna take some real skill in rehearsal to make sure that nobody is, with that many descending and ascending lines, that song has a lot of lethal man traps. There's a lot of opportunity to clam. Okay, let's see if anybody's got anything to offer here before I turn into a pumpkin. All right, so, it seems like, Brett Strickland, yeah. So, all right, so nobody else is really chiming in here. I don't know, is there anything else or any other song that we can talk about that's exciting for anybody? Let's see, I was working this weekend, I was refreshing my memory on High Time. I was doing Alabama Getaway. I don't know if anybody likes that little opening bit. That's pretty fun. What is that? That little thing. I love that. That is really cool. Maybe a little too much treble there. Maybe we'll voice it out. Yeah, there's that lick. Very hard to play that tune. That what do you call it? Alabama Getaway. It's got some pretty pepped up lines. That's pretty fast. Let's see. What else was I working on? Oh, Peggy-O. Whoa, what's this? I like how when you try to figure out a part of a song, what did you say? When I figure out a part of the song on the fretboard, your hand is already in a guitar shape like a D chord and you figure stuff out. Absolutely. To me, it's kind of like forensics. You want to reverse engineer. Where is this coming from, right? So if we look at that, I'm very deliberately playing. Well, we can use Peggy-O as an example, but let's look at what's going on that Alabama Getaway solo first. All right, I like this because I want my ring finger here to be able to grab, right? now over top of that D chord, you're going, and then into the E chord, and then to D. Very fun tune. I mean, that's a lot of ass kicking, you know. That's so crazy. All right, what else we got here? So Jimmy, you're right on the money. I'm always thinking from this chord shape, or when I'm done, what position am I in? So a lot of the time, I want to make sure I'm ending on strong fingering choices that lead to the next idea that I'm doing. Kind of like a chess player, you want to think one move ahead, and the best way to think about the move ahead is, am I in place to do it without any kind of jarring, have to reconfigure my mind. So there is a little bit of that on the Alabama Getaway descending part. Out of the E chord shape, right, then over the, we're going to be bending in, so it starts on this E chord, so that's all over that D chord. So we're gonna have to think about, right? So that's come up and over top of the D chord. Forget about that slide not being picked. It makes it so much easier. Okay, that's, I don't care what you do, but what you want to do is a hammer on the G, and then and then you're already in place for. Okay, so. "32 teeth in a jawbone, Alabama's triumph unknown." Right, so you got that. Kind of mix and match of the Bobby parts, right? Bob's parts on that are great too. So let's look at some other chord shapes and stuff like that we can think of, right? Let's do Peggio. Let's do that, because that was sounding pretty good. 1, 2, 1. Let's get that all set up. If you guys don't use your looper, you're never going to get better faster. You need a steady hand to practice against. 1, 2, 1, 2. Will you marry me? So we've got our A chord, F sharp minor, C sharp minor, up to D, A, and then so we want to look for the melody notes, right? But let's play them out of the melody. Play it out of the A chord shape here, we're gonna like that. So a very target-rich environment right in here. Maybe take it down here. See if you can find something here. So very much stemming out of the rhythm guitar positions. I'm trying to make every note count. I mean, if you start with the basics of the melody and then work on embellishment from there. I mean, I tend to prefer a little bit more headroom over top of the track, but if we're looking at... See how I got that flat third in there? If we're going flat third on the way up, then over into the D chord, it's not a D minor, and there certainly is no F in the A chord that we're playing. We're deliberately introducing tension into the line to create resolution on the strong beat. So if we go 1, 2, 3. Right, again. Very, very meaningful melody, all right? If you use that melody and then incorporate some of your more guitar-y kind of ideas around it. How are we going to bend into that? You saw me do. I'm trying to hit that F sharp, right? Or you could do. So. One fret bend to come into the drama note. That's the best move you can make. Right? We can also climb up each chord. Right? Or so we could do that, or. It's just too tender to not use the melody information. I barely think outside of the melody when I play that tune. It's just a great opportunity for you to examine the melody and then figure out where you can make things more dramatic by virtue of guitar affectations and ornamentation, okay? Now, I think I've been at this for quite a while here. How long have I been going? What does this say? 99 minutes. Yikes! That's a long time. All right, everybody, I'm going to bail here, and I'm going to thank you for however many of you might still be watching, 9 of you. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Office Hours, and you don't have to stay quiet so much. I kind of like it when you guys have more. I mean, I'm happy to just bleh and blab and share into the ether, but if you guys have any questions about songs that you're working on, feel free, ask up like that. This is now's the time to talk about it for sure. All right. Thanks for the free lessons. Of course, Wally. It's not really a free lesson so much as I know that there's like 9,500 people. Which is shocking to me that 9,500 people have. Oh, that's wonderful. So some guy, you're just folding clothes. I have some clothes upstairs I have to take care of too. But so the idea is, that I know that there are people out there that play this music and want to learn how to do it better. And I look around and I see a lot of the education that's available for free online. And I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I might come off that way right now. A lot of the education that is given is inaccurate or incomplete. Let's just say it can be framed by entertaining and popular people, but I don't think it's framed by people who have quite as much skin in the game emotionally into this music, and at the same time have enough theoretical awareness and ear training to kind of hear what's going on at a larger level. So, or a more elevated level. Like, I know I was working on Estimated the other day, and, I mean, it's a very challenging song. We've got a lot of stuff to consider in there, right? So, what do we got? We've got, where is that? Here we go, Estimated. So, if we're looking at that, right? Well, the other guitar in the band has got to be doing the bobby part. And, there's that little section right there. Well, that has a C in it. That little move is almost uniformly ignored or not discussed, or if it is addressed, it's played incorrectly. Right? That sound of blah, na, 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 na. Okay, and then okay, that part, really kind of important. There's some other little sections in there, like that little section where we have. Right here. Whatever. That is outrageous. That, again, another Bob Weir seminar in wacky writing ideas. That little section is completely out to lunch, right? 1, 2, D minor, E7. Okay, that kind of sound. And now, F, A, B minor, D minor, A minor, C minor, G minor, B flat minor, F minor, and then this is kind of an E flat chord played from its third, and then we just raise this pinky to get to a B7, B flat 7, right? And then back to. Very fun tune, Estimated, okay? Okay, so you get all that crazy stuff, and that's just an opportunity for people to play it wrong. There's just a lot going on there, okay? Definitely that, by the way we count that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 from the A, from the F, 4 from the A, 7. The whole song's in 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the way we would count 7, 4 for that is 3 and 4. Or we could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4. So we're recorded version doesn't have that little. It's kind of something nice about that little space. Well, I'm going to take off, y'all. Thank you very much for tuning in and saying hi. If you're subscribed to the channel, I really do appreciate that. If you're a student currently or were a student, I appreciate that even more. And if you're interested in lessons, obviously you can just keep tuning in whenever you see that I come up and ask me whatever you want to do. Or you can go back and look at the hundreds of lessons that are already right here. There is tablature available for many of the lessons that have been given over the years. And if you want to step up your game and get some one-on-one type of stuff and sign up for a 10 lesson pack, that's fine and well. I teach probably around 25 hours a week. So right now there are some availabilities, but they come and go depending on time of year, basically. Usually fall things fill up and then it lightens up over the summer when people flake off and go to the beach and stuff. So look, it's been a pleasure to answer any of your questions and share what I'm working on. And as always, just want to be till the morning comes, right? Yep. All right. So till the next time, absolutely. Looking forward to it. And I better get ready for my lesson here at 1. All right. Adios, folks. Take care. How do we get out of here? I think that's it. Am I done? Are we done? Hello?